The restaurant was warm and full of soft music. Families laughed, glasses clinked, and plates slid across polished tables. At a corner table near the window sat an older woman named Nora. Her hair was silver and neatly styled. She wore a simple dark dress and an old but clean shawl. Across from her sat her son Imran and his wife Clara. Imran checked his phone again and again. Clara, in a bright, expensive dress, looked around the restaurant with a restless, annoyed expression. It was supposed to be a nice family dinner. Imran had invited his mother to celebrate his new promotion. Nora had been so happy when he called. She had ironed her dress twice and walked slowly to the bus stop, clutching a small envelope with a card she had written for him. But from the moment Nora arrived, Clara's face had been tight. Why did she have to come here? Clara had whispered to Imran when Nora went to the restroom. This place is not for people like her. She doesn't even know how to behave in a place like this. Imran sighed but said nothing. A piece of guilt touched his heart, but he pushed it away. Now, as they waited for their food, Nora smiled gently. This place is beautiful, she said. I've never been somewhere like this before. Thank you for bringing me, Beta. Imran gave a weak smile. Clara rolled her eyes and took a long sip of her drink. A waiter came to the table with bread and butter. Nora tried to break the bread carefully, but her hands shook a little from age. A small piece of butter slipped from the knife and fell onto the edge of the table. Clara's eyes flashed. Can you please be careful? She said, her voice sharp. This is not your small kitchen. People are watching. Nora's cheeks turned red. She quickly wiped the butter with her napkin. I'm sorry, she murmured. Imran looked away, pretending to read the menu again. A few minutes later, another small accident happened. Nora reached for her glass of water and her fingers misjudged the distance. The glass tipped slightly and a few drops of water spilled near Clara's plate. This time, Clara did not whisper. She exploded! That's it! She shouted, pushing her chair back. Several heads turned in their direction. I want to speak to the manager right now. Her voice was loud, sharp, and full of anger. The restaurant grew quiet around them. Nora froze, her hands tight in her lap. Imran's heart pounded in his chest. Clara, please, he began, but she cut him off. No, Imran, this is embarrassing. Look at her. She's ruining everything. She doesn't belong in a place like this. Nora's eyes filled with tears that she tried hard to blink back. She stared down at her hands so no one could see her face. The nearest waiter hurried over, his eyes wide with worry. Ma'am, is everything okay? He asked. No, it is not okay, Clara snapped. I want the manager. Right now. The waiter nodded and rushed away. The silence at the table felt heavy. Nora's heart hurt, but she stayed quiet. She remembered the nights when she had eaten dry bread so Imran could have a full plate. She remembered the years she had worked in other people's homes, saving every coin so her son could study. Now, in this fine restaurant, she sat like a stranger. Across the room, a man in a dark suit started walking toward their table. His expression was calm but focused. He was the restaurant manager. As he approached, Clara folded her arms, ready to complain. Imran stared at his hands, ashamed. Nora did not know it yet, but the manager's next words would change everything. The manager came to their table with a polite smile. He was in his late 30s with neatly combed hair and a name badge that read, Mr. Patel, Manager. Good evening, he said calmly. I'm Mr. Patel, the manager here. Is there a problem? Clara leaned forward at once. Yes, there is, she said loudly. This woman, she pointed toward Nora, is making a mess. She's spilling things, she doesn't know how to behave, and she's embarrassing us in front of everyone. This is a fine restaurant. She shouldn't be here. Several people at nearby tables glanced at Nora with pity, but no one spoke. The words hit Nora like a slap. Her shoulders slowly curled in, as if she wanted to disappear into her chair. Imran swallowed hard. He should have defended his mother. The guilt was now almost painful. But again, the words stuck in his throat. Mr. Patel looked at Clara first, then at Imran, and finally at Nora. His eyes softened when they met Nora's face. He stared at her for a long moment as if trying to be sure. Ma'am, he said gently, turning his full attention to Nora. I am very sorry. May I ask, is your name Nora Khan? Nora looked up, surprised. Yes, she said slowly. How do you know my name? Now it was Clara's turn to look confused. Imran frowned, glancing between the manager and his mother. Mr. Patel's polite smile grew into something warmer, almost emotional. Then I think I owe you more than an apology, he said. You may not remember me, ma'am, but my full name is Rohan Patel. About 15 years ago, you worked as a house helper for a family on Oak Street. They lived in the small yellow house near the park. Do you remember? Nora searched her memory. Then her eyes widened. Yes, she whispered. I remember that family. Your mother was very sick. You were a thin boy who liked to read books by the window. Your father often came home late from work. Rohan nodded, his eyes shining. That's right. When my mother was in the hospital, my father could not pay for all the bills. Many days there was almost no food in the house. You brought us food from your own home even when you had very little. You stayed with me at night when my father worked late. You told me stories so I wouldn't be afraid. Nora's eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were not from shame. I was only doing what any person should do, she said softly. Clara's mouth hung open. Imran stared at his mother with new eyes, as if seeing her for the first time. Mr. Patel straightened his shoulders. His voice became firm, but still respectful. Ma'am, you helped my family in the hardest time of our lives, he said. If you had not been there, I don't know what would have happened to my mother or to me. I finished school and later studied hotel management because you kept telling me I could do something better with my life. He turned to Clara and Imran now, his expression calm but serious. This woman you are shouting at is the reason I am standing here today, he said. She is our guest, and more than that, she is my family's angel. So before I do anything, I would like to ask her something. The restaurant had gone quiet. Even the soft music in the background seemed distant. Mr. Patel turned back to Nora and bowed his head slightly. Ma'am, he asked respectfully, how would you like me to handle these guests? For a second, no one breathed. Clara's face turned pale. Imran felt a heavy weight drop into his chest. The power had shifted, and everyone at the table felt it. Nora stared at Mr. Patel, shocked by his words. She had never expected that a small kindness from years ago would return to her like this. Her hands trembled slightly as she folded her napkin. She could feel Clara's anger, Imran's shame, and the curious eyes of the other diners all around them. She took a slow breath. There is no need to handle them, Nora said softly. They are my family. Clara opened her mouth, ready to protest, but Mr. Patel raised a gentle hand. Please, he said quietly. Let her speak. Nora looked at her son first. For a moment, she did not see the grown man in the expensive shirt. She saw the little boy who had once clung to her skirt when he was afraid of thunder. The boy who had promised, one day I'll buy you a big house. Imran, she said, her voice calm but full of feeling. Do you remember when we used to walk past this part of the city? You would look at the big restaurants and say, one day we will eat there too. I always told you, it is not the place that makes us special. It is how we treat people. Do you remember? Imran felt his throat tighten. He nodded slowly. Yes, Ami, he whispered. She turned her eyes to Clara next. Clara shifted in her seat, unable to meet Nora's gaze at first. Then slowly, she looked up. Clara, Nora said, still gentle. I know I don't speak perfect English. I know I don't wear fancy clothes. I come from a small house and a simple life, but I have never wanted to shame you. Her voice shook a little, but she kept going. I raised Imran alone after his father died. I cleaned houses, washed floors, and cooked food for other people so he could study and become the man he is today. When I helped this young boy here, she nodded toward Mr. Patel. I did it because I know how it feels to be hungry, how it feels to be scared in a hospital. I never did these things to gain respect in a fancy restaurant. I did them because my heart would not let me ignore them. The restaurant was so quiet that a spoon clinking in the distance sounded loud. Mr. Patel's eyes were wet now. Clara swallowed, her cheeks burning. She had never really asked Nora about her past. To her, Nora had always just been the mother-in-law from a poor background. Nora gave a small, tired smile. "If you think I do not belong here, that is okay," she said. "I am used to simple places. I did not come tonight for the food or the music or the lights. I came because my son invited me, and I proudly wanted to see the life he built." A tear slipped down Imran's face. He quickly wiped it away. Mr. Patel spoke then, his voice firm. "Ma'am, to me you belong here more than anyone," he said. "This restaurant would be lucky to have guests like you every day. Your kindness is worth more than all the money people spend here." He turned to Imran and Clara. "I will not ask you to leave," he continued, "but I will not allow anyone to insult this lady in my restaurant. She is a respected guest here, and she will always be welcome." Clara felt a deep pit open in her stomach. She looked around and saw other customers watching, some nodding in agreement. Her anger slowly melted into embarrassment. Imran finally found his voice. "Ami," he said softly, I am so sorry." Nora simply placed her hand over his, giving it a gentle squeeze. The story of their family was changing right there between plates and glasses and quiet stares, but it was not over yet. Mr. Patel cleared his throat and straightened his jacket. "Here is what we will do," he said. "First, I will move you to a more private table, if you wish, so you can continue your dinner without feeling watched." He looked at Nora, not at Clara. Nora hesitated, then shook her head. "No, thank you," she replied. "I don't want special treatment. I just want us to sit like any other family." Mr. Patel smiled. "Then that is what we will do," he said. "But tonight your meal is on the house. It is the least I can do for everything you did for my family." Nora started to protest. "Oh, no, please, that is not necessary." "It is necessary to me," Mr. Patel said gently. "Please, accept it as a small thank you." He turned to the waiter standing nearby. "Take good care of this table," he said. "They are very special guests." The waiter nodded with respect, casting a kind look at Nora before walking away. As Mr. Patel left, the soft music in the restaurant seemed to come back to life. The noise of plates and laughter slowly returned. But at Nora's table, a heavy silence remained. Clara stared at her hands, twisting the napkin between her fingers. She felt as if the floor could open and swallow her whole. Never in her life had she felt so small. Imran leaned forward, his voice low. "Ami," he said, "I should have stopped it. When Clara spoke to you like that, I should have said something. I am so sorry. I let my success make me forget where I came from." Nora shook her head gently. "You are my son," she replied. "I know your heart is not bad. Sometimes the world around us is loud, and we forget the voice inside." Clara finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I was wrong," she said. "I judged you, and I was cruel. I thought you would embarrass us. But I am the one who embarrassed myself." Nora looked at her for a long time. Clara's eyes were shiny, and her proud face had softened. "I never wanted to be a problem in your life," Nora said. "I just wanted to see my son happy." Clara swallowed hard. "I thought that bringing you here would make us look less," Clara admitted. "But now I see that you make us more. Without you, Imran would not be who he is. If I had known your story, maybe I would have been different." "You could have asked," Nora said gently, not accusing, just honest. Their food arrived then, steaming plates placed carefully in front of them. The waiter smiled at Nora. "Enjoy your meal, ma'am," he said respectfully. "Thank you, Beta," she replied with a small smile. For a while they ate in silence. But it was a different kind of silence now, not filled with anger but with thought. Each bite tasted like a lesson. Clara watched Nora break her bread slowly, her hands still a little shaky but calm. She noticed the lines on Nora's face, the tiredness in her eyes, the quiet dignity in the way she sat. "This is the woman who raised my husband," she thought. "This is the woman I just tried to throw out like she was nothing." By the time dessert came, Clara knew that their relationship could not go back to how it had been. It would either break completely or change into something new. On the ride home, the air in the car was thick but soft. City lights passed by like small stars outside the window. It was Clara who finally broke the silence. Can we talk when we get home? She asked quietly, looking at Nora in the rearview mirror. Nora nodded. Imran kept his eyes on the road, but his heart beat with nervous hope. The real change he knew would not happen in a restaurant. It would happen in the small living room of their home, with no manager watching and no strangers listening. Later that night, they sat together in the living room. The house was quiet. The only sound was the faint humming of the fridge and a distant car passing outside. Nora sat on the sofa, holding her handbag in her lap as if she might leave at any moment. Imran sat beside her, and Clara sat in the chair opposite them, her shoulders slightly bent. "I want to speak first," Clara said softly. Nora nodded. Clara took a deep breath. "I grew up very different from you," she began. "My parents had money. We went to nice places. I was taught to care about how things look, about what other people think." She paused, searching for the right words. "When I married Imran, I loved his ambition. I loved that he wanted to give me a good life," she continued. "But I was also afraid that people would look at us and see where he came from, see you, and judge us. So I tried to hide you in small ways. I see now how ugly that was." Nora listened quietly, her eyes gentle but serious. "Tonight, when you spilled that water, I felt everyone looking at us," Clara said. "I panicked. I thought if I pushed you away, they would respect me more. Instead, I lost their respect completely." She wiped a tear from her cheek. "I am truly sorry, Nora," she said, using her name for the first time without any hard edge. "Not just for tonight, but for all the times I made you feel small. You did not deserve that. You are the reason my husband is kind and strong. You are the reason he even had a chance to succeed." Nora's eyes softened. She had waited many years to feel accepted in her son's new life. She had wondered many nights if she was a burden, if Imran was ashamed of her. Hearing Clara's words felt like a window opening. "Thank you for saying that," Nora replied quietly. "I know change is not easy. I also need to learn your world. I don't understand everything. I may make mistakes. But I never want to bring shame to you." Clara shook her head. "You did not bring shame," she said. "I did, and I want to change that. I want to know your story. I want to know how you managed everything alone after Imran's father passed away. I want to learn how to be as strong as you." Imran looked at both women, his heart heavy and full at the same time. "I should have protected you today, Ami," he said. "I promise. From now on, I will never be silent if someone disrespects you, no matter who it is." Nora smiled, tears in her eyes. "My son, you don't have to fight with anyone," she said. "Just remember where you came from. Respect the people who helped you along the way. That is enough." Clara moved from her chair to sit on the floor near Nora's feet. It was a small, humble gesture, but it meant everything. "Will you give me another chance?" she asked, looking up at Nora. Nora reached out and gently placed her hand on Clara's head like a blessing. "Of course," she said. "Family always deserves another chance." In the weeks that followed, things slowly changed. Clara began inviting Nora to more places, not to show her off, but to truly be with her. She asked about recipes, about Imran's childhood, about the days when money was tight, but love was strong. Sometimes, Nora would visit the restaurant again. Mr. Patel would come out from the back to say hello, always greeting her with respect and a warm smile. One evening, as they all sat together eating a simple meal at home, Imran looked at his mother and his wife laughing over a small joke. The fear and tension that had once filled the room were gone. He thought back to that night when Clara had screamed, "I want the manager!" and felt grateful. She had no idea then what would happen next. But what happened next changed all of them, teaching them that real status does not come from money or fine places. It comes from kindness, respect, and the courage to admit when you are wrong, and that, more than anything, became the true story of their family.